Dimebag Darrell, one of the greatest guitarists in heavy metal history, met a tragic end that shocked the world. But what many don't realize is how dark his final days truly were. Known for his wild riffs and larger-than-life personality, he was gunned down on stage in 2004, a moment that still haunts fans and musicians alike. Yet behind the music and the fame, there were struggles piling up, things he kept hidden from the spotlight. His band Pantera had fallen apart, his body was breaking down, and the road he loved so much was wearing him thin. This isn't just about the night he died, it's about the shadows that crept into his life before that bullet stole him away. You may think you know Dimebag's story, but his last days were heavier and more heartbreaking than most ever guessed. Let's dive into the real tale of a legend, whose final chapter was darker than anyone could have seen coming. Before the darkness took over, Dimebag Darrell was riding high as one of metal's biggest names. He'd spent years tearing up stages with Pantera, a band that redefined heavy music with its raw power and attitude. By the early 2000s, though, Pantera was done, split apart by fights and bad blood, especially between Dimebag and singer Phil Anselmo. But Dimebag didn't let that stop him. He picked up his guitar, teamed up with his brother Vinnie Paul, and started Damageplan, pouring his heart into a fresh chapter. To fans it looked like he was unstoppable, still shredding solos and living the rock star life he was born for. On stage he'd flash that big grin, making it seem like everything was fine. The truth? Things weren't as bright as they looked. The breakup of Pantera hit him hard, and starting over wasn't easy. Still he pushed through, chasing the music that kept him going, right up until the end started closing in. Behind Dimebag Darrell's loud riffs and big smiles, there was a storm brewing that few people saw. The end of Pantera wasn't just a band breaking up, it was personal. He and Phil Anselmo, once like brothers, weren't even talking anymore, and that silence cut deep. Dimebag didn't spill his feelings to the world, but those close to him knew he carried that hurt. On top of that, his body was starting to fight back. Years of rocking hard had left him with back pain that wouldn't quit, and the long nights on tour didn't help. Some say he leaned on drinking to keep going, though he never let it show in his playing. Life on the road with Damageplan was supposed to be a fresh start, but it was grinding him down, tiredness, stress, and a nagging feeling that things weren't right. He still gave everything to the music, but the cracks were there, growing bigger every day. It was like a shadow following him, one he couldn't outrun, setting the stage for something no one could have predicted. December 8, 2004, started like any other gig for Dimebag Darrell and Damageplan, just another stop on the road, this time at a small club called the Alrosa Villa in Columbus, Ohio. The band was tired, worn out from months of touring, but Dimebag stepped on stage ready to give the crowd everything he had. Then, minutes into the set, everything changed. A man named Nathan Gale, someone nobody saw coming, pushed through the crowd with a gun. Before anyone could react, he opened fire, hitting Dimebag right there on stage. 4 shots and the music stopped. Chaos broke out as people screamed and ran, while others tried to stop the shooter, who kept going until he was taken down. Dimebag was gone, just like that at 38 years old. What makes it even darker, the club had no real security to stop it, and some say Gale had been hanging around earlier, unnoticed. Witnesses later talked about Dimebag's last seconds, how he kept playing until he couldn't anymore. It wasn't just a random act, it was a brutal end to a night that already felt heavy, a night that showed how fragile things had become. When Dimebag Darrell fell that night, the world felt it. Fans, family, and musicians who looked up to him were left reeling. The news spread fast, and soon tributes poured in, from metal giants to kids with guitars in their bedrooms. His brother Vinnie Paul was broken, losing not just a bandmate, but his best friend, and the pain rippled through everyone who loved Dimebag's music. But beyond the tears, there was something darker lingering. His death wasn't just a loss, it shined a light on things nobody wanted to face, like how little protection there was for artists on the road. People started asking questions. Could it have been stopped? Was he struggling more than he let on? The truth is, those final days weren't just about that one awful night. They were the end of a slow burn, a mix of personal battles, and a life that asked too much. Dimebag's story didn't close with peace. It left a hole, a reminder that even legends can carry shadows too heavy to shake. His music lives on, but the weight of his last chapter still hangs there, darker than most ever think about. Dimebag Darrell's story hits hard, doesn't it? His final days weren't just about that tragic night. They were a build-up of everything he faced, from broken bonds to a body pushed too far. It's a lot to take in, and if it's got you thinking, drop your thoughts down below. What do you make of his last chapter? If this hit home for you, give it a like, and maybe share it with someone who gets what he meant to music. There's more stories like this out there, untold pieces of lives that shape the sounds we love, so stick around. Next time we'll dig into another one. For now, thanks for listening to the darker side of Dimebag's journey. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next one.